Hello, and welcome back to The Known World, beaming out to listeners from Timbuktu to Guangzhou. I'm your host, Pushu Ken, and today we are going to explore how trade has affected our world along the Silk, Sea, and Sand roads. Our panel today consists of experts from all across the world who have lived and worked on these trade routes. From Central Persia and the Silk Road, we have Mr. G, a caravanserai owner.
Hello.
From East Africa, representing one half of the Sea Road, we have Mr. A stationary merchant.
Hey there.
From Southeast Asia, we have Miss R, a traveling merchant, the other half of the Sea Road.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Representing the Sand Road, we have Miss L, a stationary merchant in North Africa.
Salutations.
Also from the Sand Road, we have Mansa Musa, the king of Mali, who famously took 60,000 people on Hajj with him.
It's true.
First up, we have the social aspects of trade. The silk, sand, and sea roads had tremendous effects on social class as well as upward mobility. Mr. A, what have you learned in your years as an East African merchant?
Well, in Sofalala, one of the cities on the East African coast, the classes live in separated areas. I, as one of the elite merchants, get to live in the inner walled part of the city, while the commoners live outside. But this wasn't always the case, as I was just another person before I got into the lucrative trading business. One more thing. Sea road trade also led to marriages between our local people and the foreign traders from Arabia and Persia who decide to settle down there.
Now let's hear some other perspectives.
On the Sea Road, the new trading resulted in new social classes. However, on the Silk Road, existing social classes were simply amplified.
In Southeast Asia, merchants were respected, just as they were on the Sand Road. In contrast, merchants on the Silk Road were not necessarily respected, since it took them a long time to build up a reputation.
As the king of Mali, I, the great Mansa Musa, fully endorse the use of slaves. Slaves, as well as other luxury goods, allow me to live a life of luxury. As any respectable ruler would know, slaves are essential to a comfortable lifestyle. Slavery allows for the elite, who are supporting the economy with their trading, to deal with the important problems of our time. This need for slaves on the Sand Road is a parallel to the slave trade that also occurs on the Silk Road. Because the demand for slaves has increased, I've started exporting slaves, creating an influx of people being demoted to slave status.
Next up, we'll talk about how trade interacts with government after the break. Another factor that was affected by trade was government. Empires benefited immensely by trade, and, in turn, governments took steps to attract trade. Clearly affected by the recent trade boom is Mansa Musa, king of Mali, who drew nearly all of his immense wealth from trade. Mansa, how has Sand Road trade been for you?
The Sand Road has allowed me to become wonderfully rich. Due to the fact that my empire produces many luxury goods, many caravans come through, so I taxed each of the caravans. Due to the wealth I accumulated, my illustrious kingdom has become known worldwide for its wealth. The phenomenal amount of money I made allowed for me to take 60,000 people with me when I went on Hajj. A funny aspect of my Hajj was that I accidentally collapsed the economy of the places I went through, as I generously gave out gold.
Let's ask the rest of the panel what they think.
Mr. A here, and on the East African coast, we're not actually one empire like Mali, but multiple independent city-states that have developed as a result of the trade boom.
Across the Southeast Asian Sea Road, governments have also risen to power due to increased economic wealth. This was a key stabilizing factor of central government in our region.
After this, we'll talk about how trade was limited by and helped by the environment. Environment also played a large role in shaping trade, as hostile environments had a number of effects on goods traded and necessitated the use of many strategies. Miss R here has been trading on the Indian Ocean for much of her life. What do you think environment has done to help and hurt your business?
As a traveling merchant, the environment has a great effect on the opulence of my trade business. In fact, my business basically depends on the environment. In order to travel between trade hubs, I ride the monsoons along the coasts of Southeast Asia. Monsoon winds blow eastward in the summer and westward in the winter, allowing for easy transportation. Techniques such as coast hugging make the sea much easier to navigate and provide traveling merchants like myself with multiple locations for fuel and rest.
Let's hear from some others.
Mr. A here, and the situation is very similar in East Africa. The merchants there also utilize the monsoon winds and coast-hugging techniques.
In my Mali kingdom, the environment also plays a large role in the accumulation of my wealth. Not only does the environment dictate what goods we can trade, but it also dictates how we trade them. One export that I take pride in is gold. Although my great kingdom would have prospered without the Arabs, Bactrian camels, the camels that we received allowed for us to trade across the perilous Sahara Desert, much like how the monsoon winds help the traders navigate the vast ocean.
In just a moment, we'll discuss the movement of culture via the three major trade routes. Along with goods, the three major trade routes carried ideas and culture. Religion, technology, and other ideas spread along coasts and through deserts to faraway civilizations, and each region was uniquely influenced. Miss L has seen firsthand the introduction of Islam to North and West Africa via sand road trade. How has trade played a role in your culture?
Well, Islam has recently spread to West Africa. This is largely thanks to us North African merchants, since it has spread prolifically. Lots of common citizens don't feel the need to convert to Islam. However, merchants like myself have converted to win the favor of Arab traders. Some royal families have also converted. Our king is very pleased at the moment, since the new religion is really great for the monarchy. Arabian merchants have brought us the Quran and the Arabic language. I've heard that Buddhism is being spread on the Silk Road, in a similar way to how we merchants are spreading Islam.
Why don't we compare that with our panel?
Mr. A here, and like the sand roads, Arab traders also spread Islam to East Africa. What was different was that it was willingly accepted by both commoners and traders so we could connect to Islamic society. Arabic also spread there as a result.
Much like the Sand Road, Islam spread across the Southeast Asian Sea Road due to its commerce-friendly appeal, along with Buddhism and Hinduism. Because of this widespread adoption, the architecture of many Southeast Asian hub cities have religious influence.
Here on the Silk Road, we have Abbasid Caliphate, a theocracy where the government is closely entwined with religion. In West Africa, however, Islam remained separate from government and limited to the elite, or so I hear.
In my experience as a ruler in Western Africa, the upper class has converted to the magnificent religion of Islam, but the commoners have not yet embraced it. Although I would like to convert everyone to Islam, practicing religious tolerance allows for trade to prosper. Islam gives the people trading on a global scale a sense of security, as Allah is a worldwide God, unlike the local deities of the native religion. I am also proud to say that West Africa is a religious and intellectual hub, home to Quranic schools, centers of higher education, libraries, and mosques.
For our last topic, we will discuss economy and trade. Lastly, we have economy. The far-reaching trade produced most notably an economic boom, but there are a number of other economic factors that were brought on by trade. Mr. G is a caravanserai owner in central Persia. He has seen merchants from all parts of the world pass through his inn. Mr. G, what have you noticed with regards to the economy on the Silk Road?
As a stationary merchant in Persia on the Silk Road, I see almost all trade come by me from east to west and west to east. The most common traded goods from the west are silk, teas, salt, sugar, porcelain, and spices. And the most common goods traded from the east are gold, silver, ivory, gems, and Roman glass. Merchants are gaining the most wealth from this trade, along with the oasis cities we live in.
Let's get some comparisons from our panel.
On the Silk Road, merchants use relay trade to transport items from one place to another. Likewise, merchants on the Sand Road use relay trade as well. And yet, Sand Road trade was different in some ways. For example, merchants on the Sand Road used donkeys to bring their wares to the border of the Silk Road from the more southern regions. Then, the merchants would transport these goods across the Sahara Desert on Bactrian camels. This journey had not been possible without the camels. In addition to this, goods could be transported across the Niger River on boats.
Much like cities and merchants on the Silk Road, those along the Southeast Asian Sea Road also benefit from commodities, such as spices.
Those along the East African coast also benefit from the trade of luxury goods, such as gold, slaves, and ivory.
I see that, just like in my kingdom, relay trade is used on the Silk Road. One difference I find intriguing is that in the deserts that the Silk Road passes through, there are oasis cities that are trading hubs, but in the Sahara, where the Sand Road passes through, the oasis cities are merely a place for rest rather than trading hubs.
Well, that's about it for today. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our panel today for providing some useful insights, and, as always, to our faithful listeners. Join us next week when we explore the daily lives of the Visigoths.